What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another Too Good for Theaters video. Today, we're going to be breaking down the Joe Milton trade, as well as wrapping up the free agency signings that the Patriots have made thus far in the offseason, so let's get right into it. The New England Patriots have officially traded quarterback Joe Milton to the Dallas Cowboys alongside the 217th overall pick, which is a 7th round selection, in exchange for the 171st overall selection for the Dallas Cowboys, which is a 5th round pick. And for me, I'm not liking this move too much. I'm not going to lie. I feel like the compensation that the Patriots got back was kind of weak. And considering the reporting that the Patriots could have gotten better offers from other teams, it comes into question what the Patriots were really doing here. Joe Milton, a quarterback last year who showed pretty good development and showed a little bit of promise towards the later end of that season, especially given the fact that he had a very good preseason as well as played really well in that Week 18 win. I'm sure that you probably could have gotten better draft compensation than just a 5th rounder from the Dallas Cowboys. On top of the fact that you give up a 7th rounder too is very questionable here by the Patriots. And I understand wanting to do right by Joe Milton here and trading him somewhere where he can succeed, but you don't have to do right by Joe Milton at all. He was your backup quarterback and you don't really owe him anything. So maybe you're just trying to repair your reputation across the league, and maybe this will help out a little bit. But honestly, I don't see, just take the draft compensation or the better draft compensation. And also another perspective that I'm more so focused on is who really reached out to the Patriots here, and were they willing to not trade Joe Milton because some of these teams, they want to take a quarterback in front of them. Guys like the Browns or the Giants or even the Raiders or Saints, maybe, if they were talking about trading up and drafting a quarterback over you. So maybe you get Travis Hunter or Dual Carter here, but that certainly could be a perspective of why the Patriots didn't trade Joe Milton to some of these quarterback-needy teams that might have reached out. But like I said before, I would have just taken the better draft compensation over just this 5th rounder, and it's always nice to move up in the draft when you're giving up later picks. But on top of the fact that you trade Joe Milton with a 7th rounder only to move up, in reality, 2 rounds in this draft, I think that's a very questionable move here by the Patriots, and they certainly could have gotten more. The New England Patriots also signed former first-round selection by the Vikings center Garrett Bradbury to a 2-year, $9.5 million contract. He's a little undersized for a center, only being 300 pounds here, but this is another questionable move here by the New England Patriots. I understand why they did it. I think they honestly just saw a guy who they knew they could potentially just pencil in as your starting center here. And along the offensive line, at this point, it's just a win to have projected starters out there for the Patriots, given the fact that they had guys like Ben Brown, Caden Wallace, Demontre Jacobs along your line of last season. So just getting in someone that you know can start for you is certainly a win here. But honestly, all other signs indicate against this signing here by the Patriots, and especially given the fact that they released David Andrews so early on into the offseason. Me personally, I would have just waited and seen if David Andrews could have played better or looked a little better from a health standpoint. And especially given the fact that he's been in Josh McDaniels' system before, who other than David Andrews is going to be able to really reciprocate that offense better to Drake May in terms of protections, audibles, and really just an understanding of how the offensive line has to block in that offense. So it is a questioning move here by the Patriots. But taking a look at his 2024 campaign, he played in 19 games. Of course, the Vikings made the playoffs last year. He had an overall offensive grade of 62.8, a run block grade of 70.5, a pass block grade of 50.5. He allowed 39 pressures last year, 28 hurries, 6 QB hits, and 4 sacks allowed from your center position. As I stated before, he really does struggle in terms of pass protection, and of course he is undersized, only being 300 pounds. But this is something that he really has struggled with throughout his entire career thus far, and I will give him credit. He is a solid run blocker, but I would say overall he really does struggle in terms of pass protection. And when you have the offensive line that the Patriots have, in terms of not necessarily sure what you have at the left tackle position right now, or even at the left guard, to allow more interior pressure from a undersized center is certainly not something that I'm looking forward to, given the fact that Drake May wants to take another leap in his development. And if he's getting pressure from that left side, as well as up the middle, that's certainly going to hamper his progress in terms of his progression here. So Garrett Bradbury really has to improve in this Patriots system. And hopefully Doug Marrone, your offensive line coach now, can kind of coach him up better to be a better pass protector. But I also kind of wanted to take a look at his zone scheme versus his gap scheme in terms of run blocking, because I will give him credit. He is better as a run blocker compared to pass protection, but I won't even say that this aligns with the Patriots system either. Of course, McDaniels isn't like known against zone, but he is more of a gap scheme type running coach there. So taking a look at Garrett Bradbury's zone blocking compared to his gap blocking throughout his career, he's actually taken 62% of his career snaps in terms of zone blocking in the run game compared to only 26% in gap scheme. So I wouldn't even say that Garrett Bradbury is a quote-unquote fit for this system, but as I stated before, I think the Patriots just saw a chance to project a potential starter, and with the amount of disarray they really dealt with these past couple seasons at the offensive line, and Garrett Bradbury, he's just going to be out there. He really hasn't suffered any injuries. I think they took a chance to just schedule in a projected starter here. So I don't necessarily blame the Patriots. I do wish that they just went through other alternative means, however, but we'll see what Garrett Bradbury does here for the New England Patriots. Moving over to the defensive side of the ball here, the Patriots re-signed linebacker Christian Elliss. Of course, Christian Elliss was going to sign with the Raiders. However, the Patriots matched their offer sheet, of course, being a tenured free agent, on a 2-year, $13.5 million contract. I do think that this was a little bit of an overpay, considering the fact that the Patriots have already made several additions at the linebacking core. But what Christian Elliss has done for you in the past, being a very solid special teamer, and especially given the fact that he played rather well in a larger role last year, I do not blame the Patriots whatsoever for wanting to bring him back. He certainly had himself a career season on the defensive side of the ball last year. So hopefully that's something that he can continue to expand upon here in this new Patriots defense. And I would say that he kind of fits this mold as an athletic linebacker. He's not anything extraordinary from an athletic sense, but he has the ability to move side from side, move laterally, play downhill. He could play in the run game. I don't necessarily love him in coverage, but he's not an absolute terrible coverage corner. So he really is versatile from a defensive standpoint here. And take a look at his 2024, his defensive grades. Of course, the Patriots playing 17 games. He had a defensive grade of 72.6, a run defense grade of 70.1, a tackling grade of 70.2, a pass rush grade of 73.9, and a coverage grade of 66.1. He had 43 tackles on the year for around a missed tackle rate of only 10%. He had 10 pressures, 5 hurries, 3 QB hits, came up with 2 sacks, which was a career high. He was targeted 18 times in coverage, allowed 13 receptions for a reception rate of around 72.2%, and allowed a total of 156 yards in those coverage snaps. He had 4 pass breakups. He allowed a touchdown. He also did have an interception, and he played by far the largest amount of his snaps on defense last year, playing 514 snaps. And really taking a look at where he was aligned, the Patriots kind of used him all over the place, DeMarcus Covington and Gerard Mayo. Mostly in the box, he had 419 box snaps. However, he did play a little bit of coverage in terms of the slot game, where he took 35 snaps and even played along the defensive line at times when he was used as a pass rusher, with taking 48 defensive line snaps. So solid, versatile piece here. It's going to be interesting to see how Terrell Williams as well as Mike Vrabel kind of use him and move him along this defense. And I'm sure that he's going to be back on the special teams unit, where really the Patriots special team units was probably the best it's been in the last couple seasons for Jeffrey Springs and his Patriots team. So getting Christian Elliss back, maybe a little bit of an overpay here, but it's better than losing him out to the Raiders, especially given the fact that he showed a lot more promise last year than his first year in New England. So it's going to be interesting to see if Christian Elliss here is able to continue his development in this new Patriots scheme. The Patriots also signed former Tennessee linebacker Jack Gibbons on a 1-year, $1.3 million contract, with around $300K of that $1.3 million being in guaranteed money. And I think that this is a very underrated signing by the Patriots here, given the fact that Jack Gibbons was a free agent and played his best years under Mike Vrabel in that Tennessee defense. So, of course, he has the Vrabes connection. I believe Vrabes actually had him signed as an undrafted free agent in the 2023 campaign. And that really is where he had his best season. But taking a look at his last season with the Tennessee Titans, really much more of a traditional linebacker. This is someone who's mostly just going to be in the box on this Terrell Williams defense, I presume. But taking a look at his 2024 campaign, where he only played in 8 games, he had a defensive grade of 83.2, a very solid run defense grade of 79.9, a tackling grade of 65.9, a pass rush grade of 65, and a coverage grade of 75.7. He came up with a total of 24 tackles for only a missed tackle rate of 9.8%. He had 3 pressures, 1 hurry, 1 QB hit, and came up with 1 sack. He was targeted 12 times and allowed 9 receptions for only a total of 62 yards. And he played he played much better in the games where he had a higher snap count. So that's something that's certainly a more encouraging sign. The more you give him, the better he plays. And while he is more so just a box linebacker, he really can be versatile in both the coverage game as well as the run defense grade. And you can even send him in as a pass rusher every now and again. But take a look by his snaps by alignment. As I said before, really was more so just a traditional box linebacker, taking 219 snaps there compared to only 7 snaps along the defensive line and only 7 snaps in the slot. But taking a look at his 2023 campaign, where he played in 15 games, he had a defensive grade of 71.2, a run defense grade of 72.9, a tackling grade of 75, a pass rush grade of 77.4, and a coverage grade of 61.3. He had a total of 70 tackles for only a missed tackle rate of 7%. He had 8 pressures, 6 hurries, only 1 QB hit, and 1 sack. And he was targeted 23 times in the passing game, allowed 17 receptions for a rounded reception rate of 74%. He allowed 168 yards in coverage, and he had a pass breakup. So this is something that I think the Patriots really wanted to focus on. Clearly, Mike Vrabel and Terrell Williams was not comfortable with the Patriots linebacking core from last season. They bring in a bunch of guys who they've worked formerly with, guys from Oakland or Las Vegas, as well as Tennessee. So it's going to be interesting to see where Jack Gibbons really fits in along this linebacking core, or if he's going to be able to get more reps, given the fact that the Patriots have signed several linebackers. So, of course, he has the Braves connection and the Terrell Williams connection. So hopefully Jack Gibbons is going to be able to expand his playing role and become one of the more productive linebackers in this league. All right, everyone, that's going to wrap up this video. Let me know your thoughts on the train and the signings in the comments below as we delve deeper and deeper into the Patriots offseason. Now that we're all caught up from a free agent standpoint, I'm going to start making more and more draft content here and going over some draft profiles. So hopefully I'll see you all in some of those videos, and I'll check you all out in the next one.